Hey y'all, how's it going? It's your buddy, 16-Bit Gambit, and I'm here with another one of my little quick side quest videos. So, one of my goals that I included on my list that I wanted to include on any game that I was going to make is in the maps where there were going to be a 2D platformer view, I wanted to include something called a parallax effect. So, what a parallax effect is, for someone who doesn't know, is when you're moving straight forward and way off into the distance to your left or to your right, there's something really tall. It appears, if it's far enough, that that thing is either not moving or it's moving slower than anything in between you and that very tall thing. For instance, if there's a tall building in your town and you're looking at it, anything that's closer to you than that building just appears to be moving faster relative to you. And I've noticed that in some games that incorporate this, they do a really good job of giving depth to it, visually, not metaphorically. So I did a little bit of reading yesterday for how to apply that one, and it seems like Godot currently is in a transition phase from two node types that they're going to be phasing out to a single node type called a Parallax2D. So in the map, you'll see that I've got the very background, which I'm going to go ahead and toggle off, and that's all clouds. Granted, you can see this line of clouds right here that I was trying to sneak in for an additional effect. Then the next layer further back, or getting closer, is that dark line of mountains, which I'm going to turn off now. Then the middle line of mountains. Then the next line of mountains. Then what you might consider to be the active layer for what's going on the screen. So all those can move independently of each other, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 4 parallax layers because I'm going to have these moving at different speeds. So parallax layer number 1, then number 2, then number 3, then number 4. Now I'm going to go ahead and drag them up and put each of them just above my tile map layers. And I'll just get started with this first one right here, the closest mountains and that line of clouds. And so I'm going to click on the parallax layer, and I'm going to go over to scroll scale on the inspector. And so what this is going to equate to is if your scroll scale is 1, as I'm moving across the background, and I'm going to be moving just as fast across the background as I am across this active layer right here. So a scroll scale of 1 is not really going to do anything that you're going to notice. But if I change that scroll scale to 0.8, that means for every 1 pixel I move across in the foreground, I'm only moving 0.8 pixels across these mountains. So if I do a quick test run after setting my project to windowed, we're full screen, so we're good. Okay, so I'm going to start moving to the right, and what you're going to notice is that all the layers further back, so the more faded out mountains and the clouds are still going to move at the same pace, whereas this front layer of mountains, that's the more vibrant green, and the clouds are going to move a little bit slower than the character. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply that to the other 3 layers that are going to be in the background. So for this parallax layer, I'm going to set it to 0.6. I'm just going to go linear going backwards, so minus 0.2, minus 0.2, minus 0.2. Except for the last one, as soon as sorry, I misspoke. And this last one right here for the clouds, I'm going to go 0.2. So 0.8, 0.6, 0.4, 0.2. I'm going to drag in my items. And to give more of that depth sort of look, I'm going to turn off this layer in front for now. And on the layer that includes the mid-range mountains, I'm also going to add, again, this layer of clouds right here. So making it work. And then for the next layer down, or the next layer going further back, I'm going to re-add that next darker layer of clouds. And then that should be pretty good. So now that this is prepared, I'm going to go ahead and turn the visibility for those layers back on. So we're back in, and as I move to the right again, you're going to notice that there's a gap right now in the back. So I was doing a bit of reading about the offset between the further back layers and the foreground, and the equation that I got initially doesn't seem to be right. Basically, it says that there's a reference point that's a 0, 0, and a camera point that, as the camera moves, it's going to subtract the vector of the reference point from that camera point where it is right now, and then it's going to multiply it by that scale. And when I was going into code and printing values, that didn't exactly seem right. So if I go into the character code, and I just had a little bit more code that I'm going to be throwing away later, because right now the character node is holding too much. So I think in one of the more immediate videos after this, I'm going to create a character class, I'm going to create the character node or template, and I'm going to start moving code from the character into the map layer, or the map script once I create a map script. So near future, that's the sort of stuff I'm going to be doing. Anyway, going past that. So if I want to know the position of the camera and the position of the parallaxes, or the parallax layers, I go ahead and another one real quick. I'll add parallax 4 because I've got 4 parallaxes. And I'm going to go ahead and press play real quick, but I'm going to cancel out of it because it's going to show up printed on the output. So the camera's at 0, 0. The furthest back parallax is at 818, negative 613, negative 409, negative 204. Although that value is linear, maybe I should do 0.99 just to see what's up. But the weird part is the pixel width for the layer that I've got is 1152, and 1152 divided by 5 is not 204. So I feel like there's something that might not be linear as far as that one is concerned. Real quick, I'll double check to make sure I don't sound too stupid. I opened the calculator real quick. 1152 divided by 5 is 230.4. I'll do a little bit more reading, but there's a way to account for this positional thing. So if you're starting on a map where your character is on the far left hand side, you can use code to just set the position of all of your parallaxes equal to your camera's position. Granted, there's still going to be that kind of drag that's going on between your the parallax layers and the camera. So even if you have them start off equal to each other, since the parallax is not going to keep up, you're going to have a gap when you get to the end of the map. So this one is kind of more, I guess you might call it an academic thing, trying to fiddle around and see what's up. So you can see now the background is all filled in, and we're not starting with that offset. But as I'm moving across the map, you can see how there's still just not that coverage for the parallax items. So I believe if you've got one specific part of your background that you would like to keep good control over when you're first starting off, then yeah, code might be the answer. But the simple fix to this one is for the background that's more giving you the feel, but you don't have to have specific items in specific places. You're just going to use the inspector to control repetitions of this one. In the case of what you might call dumb items, like items that you don't care about them repeating over and over and over again, a simpler fix than trying to do the code, expand the layer, all that stuff is just to go into each of your parallax layers and have them repeat. So for the size, I'm just putting the full width of the pixels for that layer, which is 1152. Oh, I got some leftovers. I wonder if that's why the math wasn't mathing. I'll check that one with a note, and I'll post that note at the end. But for now, I'm just going to hit repeat twice, 4 times, and you see that gives you repeating background that's going to be there as you're moving in the foreground. So repeating the process real quick, 1152, repeat, 1152, repeat, and this guy, repeat, 1152, repeat. So, by using that repeat option, you can see how it all makes a lot more sense. Going further back, the clouds are staying lined up with the mountains as they're going further back. I gotta mess with the overlap a little bit. I think this is an artifact of the fact that I've got some items hanging off the side of the map. No harm, no foul for the demonstration anyway. But I was pretty excited whenever I was looking this up because it just kind of adds a bit more flavor to what's going on in the background. Once I got the opportunity to either commission or make better artwork, it's going to even look better. Yeah, I mean, that's the basics of using parallax to give a little bit more depth to your background. One last little treat is if you've got a layer that's just dedicated to clouds and you'd like that one to be moving even when your character is not, whether it's the very, very far back or whether it's somewhere in the middle and you've got individual clouds going across the screen, you've got an option for that where if you click on Parallax Layer, under Repeat, choose Auto Scroll. And for this case, although it might be less than realistic, I'm going to go ahead and choose 32 pixels per second just so it's fast enough that you're able to see it. And yeah, so granted, not most notable, but you see you got this purple stuff moving in the background. If I had a layer dedicated just to clouds, I'd just have them potentially going at different speeds or clouds moving in the foreground, maybe with a little bit of like transparent dark underneath, so almost look like cloud shadows going across. But that's it. I was super excited to find out about this and excited to share it with y'all. Got any questions, comments, thoughts? Maybe you're better at math than I am and you can say why that offset thing wasn't exactly working right. Feel free to share it and maybe just don't be too harsh. But either way, I appreciate you. Thanks for being a good crowd. And next time we get together, we're probably going to start working on breaking out some of our nodes into templates and then also creating the character class so that as we add more characters, we can pipe those into the character nodes. Looking forward to it. Anyway, y'all have a great day. Take care. Bye.